Welcome back to Blockvember, or in this case, Blocksember. Today we are talking about ADHD burnout. As an entrepreneur that has been diagnosed with ADHD, I wanted to share my experience with ADHD burnout and then also some pieces of advice that led to that, and then also some tips for you to avoid ADHD burnout in your business. So let's get into it. So entrepreneurs with ADHD often burn out and get stuck in this burnout cycle because of the symptoms that are actually associated with ADHD. So these symptoms force us to constantly mask, overcompensate, people please, and then feel this deep sense of guilt when we try to rest or set up any type of boundaries. So this lovely combination leads to meltdowns and eventually, in my case, shutdowns. So this is the entrepreneurial burnout cycle that I created, and I noticed amongst my clients and within myself. Like, we have executive dysfunction, which causes us not to do certain tasks or things in our business. So this leads to feelings of shame and guilt, and then anxiety that will repeat this. And then the stress while working and running our business leads to long-term stress and depression, which then exacerbates the executive dysfunction. So we're stuck in this terrible cycle of entrepreneurial burnout. And so listening to advice, neurotypical advice, actually pushes you and starts this cycle. Running my business based on neurotypical methods nearly killed me. Business advice from well-meaning coaches didn't account for my dopamine deficiency, which led to adrenal fatigue. It's taken me 2 years to fully recover, but I wanted to record this video just to help you prevent severe burnout in your case. So let's talk about the 9 pieces of common advice, neurotypical advice that we see everywhere and which led to my burnout, and possibly you're experiencing this now. So 1, answering all my social media messages and comments. You see these coaches on their lives or in their newsletters trying to shame you for not answering all your DMs or comments or things outside of your sales funnel. Like, who do you think you are, Kim Kardashian? Like, stop boundary shaming your potential customers. Here's the thing. If I hop into Instagram DMs, I will stay on Instagram DMs for the entire day, replying to people and waiting for them to respond or like or heart. That will give me this, like, I would have to stay in Instagram DMs to feel a sense of completion instead of being on here recording this for you all, which is more beneficial. So it's like, for us to set up these boundaries, for us to invest in customer service, for us not to answer questions off hours or in our DMs, is really seriously for our mental health. You have to think about it. It's for your mental health. So when you see advice like this from coaches, they most likely are not thinking of you at all, which is usually the case when you get this type of advice. They don't realize their privilege as neurotypical people and how the world is set up for them and systems are set up for them. So you have to take this advice with a grain of salt and don't feel guilty, because I know clients saw pieces of advice or newsletters from people and forwarded some emails to me and said, oh, they said I'm boundary shaming. No, you're not. Honey, you actually have a problem with setting boundaries. You are not boundary shaming anyone by not answering DMs outside of office hours or during your set hours, because if you start answering those DMs, you're going to be up all night and not getting sleep. So there's no such thing as boundary shaming when you have ADHD. So running a 90-day launch sequence, you probably see like those $47 programs or courses or Gumroad things or whatever, templates that show you how to run a 90-day launch. And here's the thing, I tried like 90-day launch, and by the end of it, I was just so burnt out. I was struggling to keep up with doing the things that were necessary to stay on top of it. Even with the team, I was over the launch. I was like, what am I selling? What is this? by the time we finished the launch, I didn't even want to run the program. I'm like, it's like, oh my God, it was so painful to actually then provide the information and content for the actual program after the launch because it was just so long. So now for me, the longest launch I've run is 14 days or 21 days. And then after that 21 days, I run the program and I feel good about it. And my energy is still high, and I don't feel like I'm physically dying. 3, JV partnerships and networking are the only way to grow. Here's the thing with rejection dysphoria and other things that and people pleasing, all those things. When you try to network and when you try to create these partnerships, can actually add more stuff to your plate. So you're the one that ends up doing all the email lists, or you're the one that ends up doing all the graphics for a project. You're the one that does all the work. Group projects, I hated them in school and I hate them now in business. So you don't really see me doing JV partnerships. Like I do guest coaching and I have specific guidelines and packages when I work with other people or when they license my content, but that's it. I don't really make an effort to network or go into these JV partnerships because I know the toll it will take on me mentally and on my schedule. Podcast interviews. I did so many podcast interviews in 2020 and early 2021. It was just so draining because I will see the podcast interview on my schedule and I will just wait for that interview. Like that interview would be the main focus of my day so I could have enough attention for this person and be present during this interview. And so and then eventually having 2 or 3 interviews for the week, that's 2 or 3 entire work days. And so I would end up behind on my actual running my business or things or client work because I vested all my attention, which I have a deficit of, on these podcast interviews. So now I don't really do a lot of podcast interviews unless I've been engaging with the person. We follow each other, you've been commenting on my stuff. But if you're someone that's just sending a cold email, my team is really just going to either respond to you like I'm not available or, they'll table it because I can't do that type of schedule again. Offering free discovery calls. Same thing applies. Like my focus would be on that call. And then if that person didn't close, the rejection dysphoria would send me spiraling. And so it's a free discovery call. So I'm not getting paid for it. This time and focus could have been used to develop content to give other people insight and information about the program and answer questions that they needed. I could have spent creating content that would have reached 10 people instead of one call for one person who might not sign up. 6, using sales calls to close clients. That pressure and that focus, once again, on your schedule was not beneficial to me and is not beneficial to a lot of my clients with ADHD. Sticking to one product or service. I see people in their ads like, I've had one product and one service for 18 years. I'm like, I would literally jump off of one of my balconies if someone was like, Juliet, you could only sell one product or service. I couldn't do it. I would be so bored. I would be so bored. Business would not be fun anymore for me. So I like to keep things interesting. Like by the end of 2022, I probably will have almost 80 products in my suite because of the subliminal sets and self-hypnosis systems addressing the 55 blocks to entrepreneurial success. So it keeps my business fun and interesting. You see me having a good time online. You feel the energy when I'm creating this series on these 22 blocks. Like if I just had to talk about imposter syndrome for 22 days, like I don't know what I would do. If I could just have to talk about ADHD, even if someone was like, your account, you could only talk about ADHD, I don't think I could do it. So don't feel bad if you have multiple products or large product suite. You love it. So if you love it, they like it. If you like it, I love it. So not running ads and depending on organic marketing. So this is dangerous, especially for periods where you don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like posting online. You don't feel like doing anything. And that's okay. So then you're going to feel guilty for not doing these things because you're not getting clients. You're not building your business. So ads are your safety net when you have ADHD, especially with marketing. Ads and systems and having a social media manager, someone that consistently or scheduling posts are super important when you're running a business with ADHD. Automating your marketing, investing in ads, don't feel guilty about that. Once again, people are like, I did this so-and-so without ad spend. Good for you. Thank you. Congratulations. Golf clap. So what? You can run your ads. It's very, very important for you to automate your marketing, investing in someone that handles the scheduling, because even when you get a scheduler, I know when I invested in a scheduler, I didn't put anything in that schedule. It was on my to-do list, put stuff in the scheduler. I didn't do it. So I had to hire someone to actually put the content in the schedule. So it's like investing in your support, whether it's with automation, with paid ads, it's important. And it's for your business. If you are running a business, you should be doing this. Hosting live challenges. Oh my gosh. I remember I was trying to host a live challenge, and it's like by the time we got to day 9, I was over it. That was so draining. I'll never host a live challenge again. I can't. Like this series for YouTube is great, but hopping on live, Instagram live or Facebook live or hosting a Facebook group was just too much for me. So draining. And then another piece of advice that I didn't put here is faking it until you make it. It's really dangerous advice for someone that is neurotypical, because it's like you're then pushed into this feeling like an imposter, which just colors your view on yourself, which will color the view, everyone's perspective and view of you. So now this is why I love hypnotherapy and ADHD, because we are able to really start looking. I can create a plan for you where we're analyzing, planning, organizing, scheduling, and completing tasks. So we create, and the system, the self-hypnosis system that I created for people with ADHD helps you with these areas, because this is where the trouble starts, right? With analyzing your business, knowing what works for you and what doesn't, right? Planning that aligns with you and how your mind works, organizing the way you like to organize. Like for me, I'll use a mix of lucid charts and Excel sheets, because then I can organize things that way. Like how I organize this Blockfember to organize how I'm going to present stuff, I use my lucid chart and my Excel sheet. So you will have your own method of organization, and then schedule it and completing tasks. So the self-hypnosis system helps you align your mind so you're able to do this and address executive dysfunction so you can break out of the cycle. In addition to that, ADHD also, hypnosis also helps with ADHD and depression, because we're able to help you align with your self-image, also help with sleep regulation and emotional regulation, which will improve your dopamine management. So these 3 things with hypnosis will help these. It will support you right in the middle of your business and yourself and your life. So it allows individuals to create deep subconscious shifts. Our beliefs about our symptoms and our way of living and running our business is what causes most of the issues in our lives. So when we get rid of these beliefs that make us feel like we have to mask, that we have to overcompensate, that we can't rest, and that we might disappoint others, it really frees us and our minds. So what is the next step, of course, right? So next step, you can download the Blockvember affirmations for ADHD here. And you can also get the Reprogram Your Mind with Subliminals. It's not free. So there's the Freedom from Founders Depression, and then there's the is the Dopamine Reset. That's really good for ADHD. And then there is also the self-hypnosis system, Inner Freedom Activation. And then there's also the ADHD entrepreneurial self-hypnosis system that I just launched. It's all on the same page. It's all going to be linked below for you to access, or you could just go to the website. But yeah, these tools are here for you. The affirmations are free to download, so you can get started with just shifting your subconscious with the affirmations that are dedicated to ADHD. So you don't have to invest in these things if you're not ready, but you don't have to wait to start your shift. You can start your shift with the affirmations here. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.